Rumors had been spreading for weeks in Roswell, New Mexico about strange lights that chased cattle across the prairie and a scattering of metal that would not burn, bend, or fall like anything anyone had seen before. It was July 1947. Rancher Mac Brazel found debris on his ranch near Corona. By July 8th, the Roswell Army Airfield had a press release. Major Jesse Marcel, a weather-beaten intelligence officer, was sent to collect fragments. What reporters saw that summer, newspaper clippings, a curt Army retraction, a sheeted stretcher photographed at Fort Worth, became 1,000 whispered versions of the same thing. The official line, a weather balloon from Project Mogul. The under-the-table line, something else entirely. This account draws from declassified memos, eyewitness testimony, and the kind of bureaucratic paper trail that governments leave when they are trying to forget. The fragments Marcel took to Roswell were described in later interviews as metallic, yet feather-light, etched with repeating latticework so fine that under a jeweler's loupe, the patterns seemed to repeat at smaller and smaller scales. Marcel swore the pieces returned to perfect shape after being twisted. He died in 1986, still insisting they were not of this earth. Within days, the cargo was on the move to Fort Worth, then, according to a document leaked to a Washington reporter in 1982, to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base near Dayton, Ohio. There, tucked in a hangar among prototypes and bomber skeletons, a small team of military engineers and civilian scientists was convened. The project name stamped on the orders read Epimetheus. Among the faces were real people, engineers from the Air Material Command, a senior physicist who had worked on early radar, and a nervy young metallurgist introduced in internal memos as Dr. Harold Kinsey. The public never saw their progress. The private memos did. What emerged in those memos, when redactions lift and an ex-spy decides to speak, is a hypothesis that read like science fiction made bureaucratic. The lattice etched into the metal was not merely structural. Under a spectrometer, it produced shifting spectral lines inconsistent with known elements. Under microwave excitation, the material would emit a pattern of coherent pulses, not radio, not radar, that altered local electromagnetic noise in a way later memos compared to a localized, engineered entanglement field. Dr. Kinsey wrote in a note stamped Secret Nophorn that the fragments seemed to store and replay sequences of environmental signatures as if they were recording a short history of their local interactions. Project Epimetheus, according to logs and testimonies collected over decades, split into two tracks, one practical, trying to replicate the material's non-deformable memory, one cryptic, trying to understand the messages the lattice reproduced when stimulated. In a 1952 memo, a military linguist urged caution. Patterns the device emitted were being mistaken for deliberately encoded language. Intelligence analysts saw what they wanted to see. The Cold War bureaucracy turned the story inward. Whatever it was useful, and secrecy felt safer than curiosity. In whispered recollections from a young technician named Catherine Morales, who decades later became one of the most persistent leak sources about Wright-Patterson's hangars, there were long nights when the lights hummed and a small object in a lead-lined crate would pulse at impossible intervals. Morales described the pulse as like the lab breathing, and she kept a scuffed Polaroid she said she had stolen from a wastebasket in 1984. The photograph, provided to a national magazine and later lodged with the National Archives, shows a blurred metallic object beside tools and a clipboard. The official response was redaction and silence. Why does any of this matter beyond rumor? Because the lattice, if real, suggests a technology that blurs boundaries between memory and matter, between data and structure. It is the sort of thing a panicked nation might bury or weaponize or try to commercialize. In the 1950s, the United States faced a world in which secret advantages could mean survival. The same papers that signed off on classified projects also excused the removal of public records and the fogging of press conferences.